Well, reconsidered the whole trimming of the cores and stuff. Happy little accidents. Uh, I'm thinking it works good if you are really targeting a specific weight and you want to minimize, any deviance. But if you're just going for it, the Super X's are gonna take up a lot of the oddities. So, there are certain very popular weights. You know, the jackets tend to fall into the corresponding weight. So, yeah, you want mass quantities of those. But anyway, I was sizing some up for 62 grain, and for whatever reason, I forgot to trim them. Threw them in solution, shook them violently, as I always do, and um, the weight variances weren't as bad as I remember. So they were on that first batch, but then I decided to try another one, and they weren't so bad. So I tried third and a fourth, and they weren't so bad. So I decided, unless I'm really trying to hone in on something, yeah, save the time. Excuse me. Now, I did have a few where the flashing broke off of some and bonded to others, and I found it tends to be right on the end here, and those will show up being way out of scope of what they tend to be falling in, and you find just a big old glob on the end, break it off, and suddenly it's within expectations. Didn't find a lot of those, but did find some, so be aware of that. I just put them in a jug with strong Dawn solution and just shake them violently, back and forth, round and round, just beat the crap out of them. And peen those edges, peen that flashing to it as quickly as possible. And it won't, it won't come off if it's been smashed in good enough. Now one thing, when you're shaking them, they do lose a little weight. They'll lose a tenth of a grain or so, maybe two. Whether it's losing a little flashing or, they come out of the sizing die smooth. They come out looking rough after being beaten up for half a minute. Whether something leaches out or what, part of it's the lube, you can lose a little bit of that weight. But that's a good weight to lose. So, little things like that. But yeah, I figured after that, there's a lot of time saving here. If I'm just amassing, building across the board, just go for it that way. If you're trying to fine tune something, you might want to trim, because trim it's easier to find out about where they're going to weigh out. Versus with the flashing, it's a little harder to determine where that average is going to be. Because that flashing varies a lot. But in the long run, doing a big batch, I'll fill this up with 60 grain cores and squeeze off about 4 grains. And it's not too bad. Trimming them, I got about a 4/10 variance. At first batch, I got about a 7/10 variance. And now I'm getting, closer to the 4. The subsequent batches, with some outliers here and there. So it's really not as bad as I remembered, and it's a lot faster. what was I gonna say? I'm sure there was something more to this. There always is, but yeah. Live and learn. Such is life. Be willing to go, maybe I was a little wrong on that, or it works in this situation better than that situation. But anyway, yeah, I just had something I was gonna say and I can't remember it. Oh, yeah. I think this was it. Don't think of this short game, think of it long game. Assembly line. You build a product, you need to get those components built before you can final assembly. Well, cores, jackets are your components. You got to stock your shelves, stock your storerooms with all the various nuts and bolts, so to speak. All the different sizes. And then when you've got what you need, you can go to mass production. The heavy ones I got where I have to use 17 HMRs and 22 Nmags, those are Ferraris and Lamborghinis, hand built, hand tuned. They take forever. You're not pumping out thousands a day. That's the best analogy I can come up with at the moment. Versus a Ford or a Chevy or a Toyota. All right. Well, before this gets too silly, I'll leave you with that. Have a good one. God bless. See you.